We live right now. Oh, there we go.
Oh, welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance, everybody. I'm sorry I've been gone. I've been doing a lot of things. I've been busy, okay? I have to make money, unlike you punks. Anyway, welcome back to my channel. We have our usual guest, Jay Nagy, and then we have a new guest. He's actually a pretty new YouTuber who I saw, and I liked his stuff. His name is Eric. Please introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us about your channel.
Absolutely. So basically, when this whole kind of COVID day trading, work from home, stay on your computers and invest in stocks, get your stimulus checks and invest them kind of trend started, you kind of saw a lot of irrational exuberance going on in the markets. And, I'm not by any means like a, super seasoned investor. I'm 23 years old, just graduated business school, starting full-time work in a few months, going for my CPA right now. And yeah, I mean, I've always been kind of like, I do consider myself kind of a risk taker and an optimistic person, but I just saw a lot of irrational exuberance in the markets and people getting into investing, like in my kind of circle of friends and people, online trying to buy GameStop at $400 a share, and just kind of thought to myself, I see these other YouTubers, kind of these hype driven channels, right? And that's kind of the trend now is, you can make a lot of money talking about finance type of stuff on YouTube. Even if you only have, a few thousand subscribers, you can still make a decent income with that. So there's these YouTubers popping up everywhere. So I guess my kind of competitive advantage when I was thinking about starting a YouTube channel, which was something I've been debating for a while, was how, obviously if you're talking about the risks of investing, which is really what my channel, it's called Investing Sucks. So it's the part of investing that sucks, right? Which is talking about the risks and the downside. So that's kind of why I started it, was just, I think people in general sometimes need to be reminded of that stuff, and sometimes they just don't want to think about it and they refuse to think about it. So take pride in talking about the negatives.
Dude, yeah, I like what you said there. Embrace the suck. Good investing is not sexy. It's just doing the same thing every month. And like I try to tell people, your number one goal is to maximize your profits. And the best way to do that is to not lose money. That's the easiest way to do it. You will not lose money with a Boglehead approach.
So, yeah, Eric, exactly. Would you consider yourself a Boglehead? Like, have you read, John Bogle, some of his books? Or are you just kind of like, where do you get most of your investing knowledge from?
Well, I mean, when I started, so I kind of got interested in investing when I was like in high school, right? Like kind of like a lot of guys, right? They hear about, and, kind of got sucked into the whole like penny stock thing. And that's what I was doing in high school. I was like trying to flip penny stocks for money, and then realized like, this is stupid. Like, cause you would make money on one and then just lose all the money you just made on another. And you're putting in all this effort, all this time, and all this stress. Like I couldn't even focus on like, my 12th grade American history class, which I'm not even American, by the way, I'm Canadian.
I was going to ask you, where are you from in Canada?
I'm from, it's called like the GTA, Greater Toronto Area. So it's kind of like the outskirts of Toronto.
You'll know I'm from Rochester, New York. So I've been to Canada a bunch of times. I love Canada. It's a great place.
Yeah.
But no, dude, that's awesome that you started day trading penny stocks, because you learned your lesson at like 17. And I don't know why you have to learn American history in Canada. And two, I don't even know why. It's like you were learning the most important subject in high school. I come to the conclusion it should just be teaching you, math and writing, and then how to manage your money.
Yeah, that's something I kind of was like looking into recently, is like, why isn't personal finance taught in schools, right? Like, is it just because like the school system is just so arcane that they don't want to teach it, or is it like there's just so many topics they can't teach?
No, it's because of the way your system's based on the American system, which was set up by the Rockefellers. There's an actual quote where they talk about they will produce no men of letters. They know that eventually innovators will rise, but what they want is efficient factory drones, and they want you enslaved to the system. Because the more debt you take on, the more enslaved you are. If you live frugally and you don't engage in the consumerist mindset and you save, it becomes a thing where it's like, I'm 40 years old. I don't feel like doing this anymore. I'm going to go do whatever I want to do. volunteer, or that's really what the system wants. I believe it is you just to be a consumer.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see that. Like, it's kind of when you just look around and like you walk down the street, and it's something I've kind of been more privy to as I've gotten older. And like I said, I kind of consider myself an optimistic person, but there are some times where I'm a little doomsday in how I look at things. Like, I'll be walking down the streets in like Toronto and just be like, man, just like all these places just trying to take your money, you know? Like, I see, look like that's what I see when I see advertising type stuff.
But you benefit from it because you see through the BS. Once you get your first job, you're smart enough to get a used car. While your other friends that graduate from college are like, hey, bro, look at my new Mustang that I got to drive on salty roads.
Hey, Jay, aren't they trying to change? Aren't they trying to add personal finance classes in Florida?
Yeah.
Isn't that a thing that they're trying to do?
Yeah, and I think it's wonderful. I wish, like I said, I'm behind. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, I'm in a great position, but I'm behind where I'd like to be. Had I started when I was 17, I'd be probably retired now.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty tough to retire even by 40, but you would definitely probably have like double the money if you had started earlier.
20 years in the military and just, yeah, but I got hurt. But just slamming that TSP with that sweet maximum.
Yeah. So Eric, just thinking about Canada, do you know a lot about like tax advantage accounts? Like here we have the IRA and the 401k. What do y'all have in Canada?
Yeah, so it's like the two main government accounts is like the TFSA, which is tax-free savings account. So that's basically they call it a savings account. It's really an investing account. Like it's where you can accumulate money tax-free. So as long as you keep your money in the account, any capital gains, dividends, interest, none of it gets taxed until you like withdraw it. But it's only a certain amount that you can put into it each year. And it's the same for everyone. Like it's not based on your income. And then the other one's the RSP, which is based on your income, which is registered retirement savings plan. And then that is like, I guess that'd be similar to a Roth IRA in America, where it's like you get a write-off for the amount you contribute. I don't know if you get that in America, but that's what we get in Canada.
That would be more like a traditional then.
Yeah, like we have both in America. You have the traditional where you you take the write-off up front, and then in retirement, when you take it out, you pay taxes. But we also have the Roth option where you pay the taxes up front. It grows tax-free, and then you take it out tax-free at retirement. So I don't know if you have that option too in Canada. But like something else I was wondering is, do you have to have an employer to be able to access any of those savings plans? Because here we have to access the 401k, you have to have an employer. I mean, there's options for self-employed people, but generally most people need an employer to have a 401k.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you want a TFSA, you can just go like to any old bank, or Wealthsimple has them, I think, and same with an RSP, I believe. Like, I mean, a lot of people will have like pension funds with their employer, but that is kind of like becoming like more and more obsolete every day. Like, not many companies are offering those, and like in a few years, it'll probably be a thing of the past. So, I mean, if you're lucky, you get that. But yeah, there are some like retirement. I don't know exactly how they work, but I know. So I've done like a few accounting internships, like when I was in school, and like obviously I didn't get any like benefits when I worked at those because I was just an intern. But like I've seen, like they have retirement accounts set up for you where you like deposit money and then the employer matches it. With, like you're obviously going to do that, and you're not going to open like a TFSA because like you're going to get free money just contributing to it.
Oh, so can you open only one or the other, or can you open both?
Yeah, you can open both. I mean, most people have both. I think like between the TFSA and the RSP, like the RSP being the retirement one, TFSA being kind of like the investing one. I think generally what people do is they have the TFSA in their younger years because that's when you can kind of like accumulate, you start investing and then it accumulates tax-free. And then once you're older, and because when people are older, they generally have a higher income. So that's when you want to save your RSP contribution room because you only have a certain amount you can contribute to it, which is, it's about like 18% or something like that of your income each year. And then, so you contribute to that usually when you're older because you're in a higher tax bracket, obviously. So then you, more tax savings.
Makes complete sense. So like, how do you invest? Are you value or are you simple low cost index funds?
Yeah, I mean, just pretty much just like TSX, Toronto Stock Exchange index funds. Like, I mean, I'm not the type of guy who's gonna spend like a Saturday afternoon reading like a 10Q report for a company trying to determine if they're a good investment. Like, I mean, that stuff's just not that interesting to me. Like, I know that's some people's thing and they
But
like learning about companies, right?
but you're doing the smart thing. I mean, you're actually maximizing your time. It's, I mean, it's like I tell people for the most part, because they'll ask me about stocks. I go, listen, how much time do you have to devote to this? They go, well, not much because I have kids. And I go, okay, then you have no business buying individual stocks. Because even when I'm at work, I'll be on my phone trying to pay attention to what the market's doing. And I own very few individual stocks. I went a little bit too overweight on Baba, but but I mean, I'm always on the stocks I have. I'm always reading about what the companies are doing.
Yeah,
So
I mean, if you're invested in a company, you're obviously gonna like keep up to date with what they're doing. Like I'm invested in one individual company and
what
it's
is
a
it?
Brookfield Asset Management. Like it's super kind of just like, stable long-term growth kind of company. I'm invested in like real estate investment trusts as well. Just because I like diversifying that. I also like more um, like I invest in kind of like these pop culture collectibles a bit because I'm a young guy. So that's kind of like my speculative plays. So this is like
Pokemon
really
cards.
weird.
You have Pokemon cards?
There's
No, I steer clear of those.
there's a there's nothing wrong with that, but understand the market and understand when it's time to get out because the collectible markets always crash. Like it happened with baseball cards in the early
Yeah.
2000s. Like right now, there's a lot of guys making a lot of money off sneakers. And if you really know the sneaker market, you can get rich off that. I work and I just don't really care about it. So it's not something I would pay attention to.
Yeah, you definitely have to. I mean, you can't really call them investments because it's like worse than like putting all your money in like Tesla options. Like it's the most speculative thing you can do because like things with collectibles is there's no fundamental way to value them, right? Like with Tesla, you can look at Tesla and look at their cash flows and management and all that and be like, okay, their stock price makes sense, yes or no. But with collectibles, it's just like it's just a pure like perfect market system. Like it's auctions on eBay, you know, that type of stuff.
Well, it's like the new NFTs, the Nifties, and I'm like, okay, what does this do for me? It's art. Okay, but you can make an infinite number of them. Well, no, because legally you can't. Okay, but what's stopping somebody?
Yeah, but Jay, can't we take a selfie together and then actually make that an NFT? Isn't that basically what it is?
Yes,
Like
yes.
basically trademark anything.
Yeah, you can do it in like 5 minutes. I did it once. Like I took a video. It was like a video of like me and my friend like shotgunning a beer, and like I put it on like an NFT site and was listed it for like $1 million to see if someone would pay.
Hey, maybe somebody will buy it one day if your channel's
Dude, I should take like a clip of my stand up and turn it into an NFT and just put it online.
You just got to label. You got to use all the right buzzwords. So you got to call it like cultural asset for one. That's a big buzzword.
Yeah.
Like basically anything that like when people hear that word, they like imagine something of value, right? Like culturally
Yeah.
significant type stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you chugging a beer is obviously very valuable. I
Yeah.
wouldn't pay $1 million, maybe $500,000 for that. Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if people become famous one day, right? Then it's like, because like with if you're investing in like baseball cards, for example, the ones you want to own are the rookie cards, right? Like the first print. So it's like the earlier in on something, you can like invest in something, the more valuable it is, right? So if I become famous one day, for whatever reason, that could be worth $1 million. That NFT.
It could, dude. It could, in fact, be if you find some with the greater fool theory. That's really all. That's really all that stuff is. It's just the greater fool theory. And then it's like, well, what about your ETFs? Keep my ETFs. They own businesses. They pay me dividends.
Yeah, that's something that I think a lot of people who invest in these markets, who just kind of hear the hype about it, don't seem to understand. Is like we'll take Pokemon cards, right? If you have a Pokemon card that's worth $1,000, meaning like you can check on eBay, you check what it's selling for, it's like $1,000. it's a difference between like being able to like have it worth $1,000 and actually being able to get $1,000 for it. Because if you're just some person who like has it, then you're gonna have to sell it through eBay, but you're gonna have to pay eBay fees, PayPal fees. So when really it ends up being about $850 after fees, and you don't receive any income for owning that asset, right? Like it's just a card, right? Like if you own stocks, dividends, real estate, bonds, whatever, you get paid along the way.
Yeah, you're basically not adding value. Like an example I use, I was like, okay, if I bought this eraser and then I sold it in 10 years for a higher price, it's still a freaking eraser. There's nothing new in it at all. It's basically the same concept with any kind of collectible, gold, silver, Bitcoin. You're not adding anything to it. And you can't, there's no true value, like you said, because there's no cash flows. But I actually have a friend that's actually doing Pokemon cards. So I'm curious to see how much money he makes, because he'll buy them for really cheap from people that are selling them locally. And then he sends them in to get graded at some like rating agency. And then he's trying to sell them on eBay. So, I mean, you might make a lot of money. I don't know, but
yeah, it can, like, if you know what you're doing, it can actually be like, I would even call it lucrative in some cases. Like I know some people, like not personally, but you just kind of see people like talk about it online and stuff, and like in Facebook groups that are dedicated to like collectibles markets. Like I'm in some like sports cards ones, comic book ones. And yeah, you see like people who literally, they buy a card for $60 and then see if it's like a player, the player goes on to be like, take Patrick Mahomes, for example, right? If you bought cards of his after his rookie year when no one knew who he was, you get them for like $50, but now they're worth like 10 grand. So like if you're lucky and you know what you're doing, then you can do well with it.
I mean, do you have a rule for your portfolio? Like my rule is no more than 5% in like speculative assets. Everything else is index funds. Do you have a certain rule that you follow to make sure you don't have too much speculative stuff?
Yeah, so I'm like, I mean, because I'm 23, I'm kind of like, into the whole risk-taking thing, obviously. So, I mean, I'm like, in terms of portfolio, it's kind of like 50% just like total stock market index ETF, 30% real estate, and then 20% whatever the hell else I want, whether that's random collectibles or some individual company.
That's not bad. You got a whole lifetime of earnings in front of you. I mean, you're really only speculative playing with 20%. And even if a guy was 40 and he told me that, I'd be like, yeah, I'm more risk averse than that, but okay.
Yeah, I'm the exact. I have like 1% of my portfolio in individual stocks. Everything else, total stock market are like big. Huh?
Did you buy Badu because Daddy Sven said so?
Yeah, so like my only it's not even a speculative investment. It is an investment, but I have like Alibaba stock, and then I have Baidu because I saw Sven Carlin talk about it. So I was like, you know what? I'll just throw a couple $100 in Baidu and see what happens. So, but that's like the whole thing is maybe like less than 1% of my portfolio.
Yeah,
I'm
but for me,
I don't like risk.
Yeah, for me, like because like I started investing in some of these collectibles markets like at the beginning of the pandemic. Which was like before they really like took off. So I made like a few $1,000s just like buying and selling sports cards basically. And I mean, a lot of those profits I just took and like just put it into index ETFs because I'm like, I mean, obviously you can look at like sports cards, for example, and be like, all right, there's a lot of people coming into this market. It'll probably stay hot for like 2 or 3 more years, but long term, like 10 years out, majority of like what you own is just going to be worth like half of what it goes for now.
Well, dude, just remember this. Sven showed this, and it's the be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. Like if you look at everybody's buying energy stocks now. Time to buy energy stocks was last summer. Now some of the internet players, they're down. It's time to buy them. I mean, if you are buying individual stocks. Like people are going to funnel into the value stuff like bank stocks. Banks have come back. And, so last year you got in on it at a good time. Once you hear lay people start talking about it, bail.
Once you see it on YouTube, then it's time to bail.
Once you start getting sucked in with the open mouth thumbnails and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
Dude,
I need to start doing that on my thumbnails.
dude, no, I'm gonna make a video tonight. How to be a successful financial YouTuber. So like on my channel, I just got like the most plays I've ever gotten, like 168. Because I just did this video about how I'm retarded, so I listen to financial YouTubers and YOLO into everything. So I go, like, I got alcohol-induced brain damage. That's why I buy ARC funds, because there's nothing better than buying a fund made up of companies with no price to earnings ratios. And I did another one where I put Jeremy's face on it, and I got like 168 views. And a guy commented, he goes, "Bro, I love your honesty. I'm exactly like you. I invest like with Jeremy," and I'm like, "Oh God, dude, you're not getting the joke."
Well, he might have been. Do you think he was being sarcastic, or do you think
He could have been? He could have been.
Yeah, I mean, because if he actually believed you, that would be very sad. You know?
Yeah, dude. But it's like my thing was going to be how to be a successful financial YouTuber, and one of the things I was going to say is, the first thing you got to do is toss out what seems like a reasonable number. Like I had a $200,000 portfolio by the time I was 25. And then I don't know if I'm going to do it tonight because I need a deck of cards to make fun of Andre Geek. Like, so I could like flip them into the air like 52 card pickup. Get a shtick. Like do magic and then lie about your portfolio that way. And then say, I invest in 200 individual stocks because I don't really understand tax efficiency.
Dude, yeah, him with his freaking dividend like as soon as I saw that video because he just made a video about how he's no longer becoming a dividend investor. And I've preached constantly on this channel, dividends are tax inefficient. So unless you have them in like a tax advantage account, you don't want a ton of dividend stocks. And of course I see his video and he's like, "I'm no longer doing dividends," or "I quit dividends." And of course it was because of the taxes. And I was like, wow, this is the guy that people are listening to, and guys like us, we got small YouTube channels. We actually tell people the truth and nobody wants to watch it. They all want to see the hot stocks.
Yeah. And like, it's going to be the same case with your channel, man. I mean, even Sven Carlin's channel is criminally underwatched on investing. This is a PhD with 20 years of experience. I just decided.
But like when people go to YouTube, right, they're kind of going for entertainment. I mean, some people are going for education, but like they want to be entertained most of the time.
The people that follow Jeremy and follow his investing style are low information people. They don't want to actually do the work that's required, like you said, of valuing a stock. And you rightly admit, you're like, how long do I want to sit around looking at balance sheets on the weekends?
Yeah, which for me, I mean, I'm like I'm training to be a CPA. Like that should be my bread and butter, right? But I mean, it is kind of like, and then like I worked in auditing in the past, so yeah, I spend a lot of time looking at financial statements. So I mean, doing that just feels like work to me, and I don't want to spend like my free time trying to invest, trying to pick whatever company is going to be the next big thing.
Bro, you're 23, man. You need to just be doing your CPA and meeting women, and that's screw all the get a girl's number. Like, well, what are you doing Saturday night? Well, I got to look at 10Ks and balance sheets. So no, I can't go out on a date with you.
Yeah, well, lucky for me, I've been in a long-term relationship 3 years with an amazing woman, so we've had a good time.
Yeah, but okay. So, but even then, what's she going to be looking at you like, "Baby, I want to go out dancing tonight." Well, I'm sorry, honey. I got some 10Ks to look. I don't know why you developed a Southern accent all of a sudden. I got to look at these 10Ks and these balance reports. I don't got time to take you to your favorite restaurant. Yeah, your girl's going to look at you and be like, "Yeah, you better put that down right now."
But yeah, that's the thing. Like, even if you have to consider like, how much time do you spend, like trying to figure out which companies to invest in, and then look at your returns as they relate to just the general market. Is it worth it? Like some people might say yes. Like if you can beat the market by 1% consistently over like a 40-year time span, then that you can make the argument that that's worth it, because that's pretty valuable over that long a time horizon. But the odds of you doing that are just so little, right? Like if you
Or
take professional money managers who do this as like their full-time job, they can't even do that consistently, right?
yeah, correct. I mean, there's also something to be said about this. Like, okay, well, imagine that you do a Boglehead approach and you allow 5% of your portfolio for speculation. And in 1997, you heard of a little company called Amazon and you YOLO'd $1,000 into it. And you just never panicked because it was such a small part of your portfolio. It didn't go anywhere for 10 years, but you're like, nah, I got confidence in it. All of a sudden, you got like $1.9 million in Amazon stock, and it's inside your tax advantaged account.
Yeah, even if like with Amazon specifically, even if you invested in them at the very worst point of the 2000 tech bubble, and like you held them today, you still did pretty well, even if you compare it to the market, I'm pretty sure. Like I haven't done the exact math on that, but
Dude, it dropped by 95%. Its share price, so it dropped to like $5 because I remember reading the statistic that the share price didn't recover to its late 90s value until 2010.
yeah.
And you could have even waited till 2010 when Amazon was $100 and YOLO'd into that, and you 30x'd your money. So you would have like a stupid floppy hat on with Jeremy going, how I 30x'd.
Yeah.
You got to do the face too.
Well, I'm telling you, if you use those faces, you'll get like the YouTube algorithm looks at that. If you have like a human face in your thumbnail, they're more likely to recommend your content.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna start doing it, but I'm just gonna do it mocking them. Got $10,000. Do this now,
Yeah.
and then it'll be me.
Because YouTube's
Put it
all
in a
about visibility. Like, no matter how good your content is, if nobody sees your video or doesn't want to click on it, you're never going to get views. Which is why, you know, I've taken forever to grow, and the other reason I grew is because I advertised a little bit. But it's definitely a pain. So I got to start working on my thumbnails a little bit more.
Yeah, I saw you on you got a shout out from Aaron Clary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you subscribed to him?
Yeah, I've been subbed to him for like 5 years now, like for like a long time. And that's how I found your channel, I think. It was like a combination of that, and I think I was just like browsing like random kind of personal finance type channels like before I started my own, just to kind of see like, you know, how people go about doing it in like their early stages, like what content do they release, and like because like I haven't invested in all in like equipment or anything. Like I kind of just use like the mic on my laptop.
The three of us aren't going to take off until all this madness leaves the market. And it's going to be there, and they're going to be, okay, but these guys were making fun of ARK and Tesla, you know, years ago before anybody knew that they were shite. So it's like, it's going to take a long time. It just, you look at a lot of these guys, a lot of guys have been doing it since 2010. So
yeah, you got to be consistent. Like if you like, there are some kind of hype driven channels that can reach like 100,000 subscribers in like a year if you you invest in equipment. And it's really, you got to find like kind of like a trifecta where it's like you need content that people want to watch for one, so we'll get views, content that you actually like making, because then if you enjoy it and you're passionate about it, you will stick with it into the long term, and like content that's monetizable. Right? Because if you're showing content like sports highlights, like you can't really monetize that, I don't think, because it's like technically the league owns it.
Yeah. Well, I just figured I'd show up people on my channel. What my goal was to just show you that a little bit of money over time you can accumulate a lot of wealth. So I just do my little M1 finance, and now I'm branching out into making fun of other YouTubers.
Yeah, and if you enjoy, you know, making fun of other YouTubers, people will probably enjoy that content. Like I'm sure we're not the only people who like look at YouTube and see all these you know, these open mouth thumbnails trying to suck you in and laugh at it a bit, you know? Because I do think like eventually people will stop, like they'll realize like, okay, this kind of like YouTube clickbait culture is kind of stupid, right? Like people are already kind of trying to do that where you see people like comment online, like they specifically won't watch a video just because they know the title's clickbait.
Yeah, and I'm going to start doing react videos to a lot of the bigger financial YouTubers, which should help because I just want people to understand, especially like my entire goal. If I can just break Jeremy's channel at some point so that, I mean, he's exposed for the fraudulent thieving from his fans pile of excrement that he is. That would just be my number one goal, that he's just like mocked in public. Like lepers are treated better than he is in public. People throw rotten fruit at him.
That's how some people grow their channels.
I don't see a lot of the other YouTubers. I don't really take them that seriously because Andre Geek is not really causing damage to other people's future financial health. Jeremy is. And it's just, I just want people to realize this guy is a half retarded special needs kid who took one accounting class at college. And they're looking up to him like he's this guru. And I'm like, homie, you're going to lose a lot of money investing with this guy.
And his formula is super simple. He just finds really small stocks that are hype driven. And he's like, oh, this could, the revenue growth could quintuple in the next year. And that's all he does. He just recommends a ton of small little stocks. And then if one takes off, he can point to it and be like, yeah, see, if you had bought this stock that I recommended, you would have 10x your money. But it's not a hard formula. You just find a bunch of low market cap stocks, buy a ton of them, and then point to the winners, which you're always going to have some winners.
Dude, well, this is what the three of us should do. We need to work together as a team. When he starts doing appearances, we should all go and be moles in the audience and ask like really complicated questions to put him on the spot. Like Chris, you just start, like both of you just start grilling him about accounting.
Yeah, because Eric, aren't you an accounting major?
Yeah, well, so I just graduated like a business degree where I specialized in accounting, and I did like a 1-semester grad diploma, and now I was supposed to write my we call it the CFE, like the exam, in May, but I got COVID canceled and pushed back to like September. So I'm pretty close to like getting the CPA. Just kind of need to write the exam and then get my hours.
Okay, so are you getting the American CPA, or like how does that work?
Well, I mean, it's with CPA Ontario. Like I don't know if the standards are the same with like the American CPA and the Canadian. It's a globally recognized designation, right? So like it should in theory be the same.
Gap.
I mean, I know there's like, I've heard of the CA, I've heard of the CPA, like chartered accountant, and then the certified public accountant, and there's something else. So I don't know how they overlap though. I've only worried about the American one. That's why I'm a little curious about what they do up there in Canada.
They consolidated it recently. So they used to have like there was CPA, there was CMA, which was like chartered management accountant, and there was CGA, which I think was chartered general accountant or something like that. So they had like 3 different ones, and then they just consolidated them into one like a few years ago.
That's actually cool. Like I'm thinking about getting the CMA here in America, but because like they haven't consolidated. There's like a ton of different certifications. So I'm thinking about doing that one, but that's only if I get bored and have nothing else to do. We'll see.
You're going to have alphabet soup in front of your name?
Hey, whatever it takes to boost those tutor numbers. Which, by the way, Eric, if you ever want to make side money, check out tutoring. Like online, you can make some good money.
Well, he's making like $50 an hour, aren't you?
I up to 60 now.
Oh my god, dude! Oh my god!
I know.
If you got famous, you could fucking be like, yeah, it's $1,000.
Dude, that's honestly like part of my YouTube. I might like try to funnel some people into tutoring. That might be where I can have my kind of niche market.
That's where the real income comes from.
Yeah, YouTube doesn't care if I monetize on YouTube. Hey, you want to be a tutor?
Dude, you should, man. That should be your monetizing, like tutoring, man. You could be sitting around teaching kids in college, and they're like, "Oh, dude, this famous YouTuber, I just paid him, a reasonable amount of money, and he tutored me, got me through this."
You need any help with your exam, Eric?
I think I've gotten plenty of help. If I don't pass it with the help I've gotten, then I'd be pretty disappointed in myself. But yeah, like when I was in like doing school, I was not like tutoring, but I was like teaching accounting software like QuickBooks and like Caseware, which is like an auditing software. So I just did that part-time like on campus. And like I wasn't making like insane money because I was working for like a company on campus. It's basically working for the school. So like I couldn't set my own rate or anything. But yeah, I've heard that like when it comes to tutoring, like especially if you know what you're doing, and it takes a while, like you can't just kind of like do it straight away. Like you have to like start somewhere and build it up, right? And have like an actual, I guess, portfolio of students you've taught, right?
Yeah, so there's a website that I use called Wiseant, and you get tons of students. All you have to do is apply. And initially it's going to be slow. Like I made like $37 a month when I first started. And then all of a sudden it just exploded. And I was doing like, 15, 20 students a week. So it might not take as long as you think. I would definitely look into it. And then once you get really experienced, you can use all those hours to be like, hey, look how experienced I am. Maybe start your own little tutoring business on the side so you don't have to go through anybody else. And that's just kind of how you do it.
Yeah, especially since, if your channel, either one of your channels got big enough, you don't need to use a third. You can just be like, hey, come over here. This is, you sign up for tutoring if you need accounting help.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like, so I actually like Eric's channel. Like you're very good at editing and, you actually know what you're doing, which kind of drew me to your channel. I suck at video editing. So all I do is just kind of like talk to the camera or maybe like, film myself around the house a little bit. But like what software do you use to edit your videos?
I just use iMovie, which I think a lot of like kind of simple basic channels use that aren't doing like, they don't have like a production team behind it. Like my iMovie's kind of outdated because my laptop's pretty old. I got like a 2015 MacBook Air. But like it works pretty well. I mean, like if all you want to do is just like, I don't use my face in the videos. I might start doing that later just because I don't really have a camera. But I know if you have like a good iPhone, then like the sound quality on the iPhones are pretty good now that like you can basically just film them and like edit the videos on your iPhone from what I've heard.
Yeah, I was using I use like this crappy editor that comes with PCs. I mean, it's okay, but yeah, if you want to get like super complex, like I don't know how you put the videos on there, like like the cars in the background. I don't know how you do that. All I can do is like edit my own.
Filmora.
What?
Filmora. Is iMovie better than Filmora, or do you not, or don't know?
I haven't used it. I mean, like I used iMovie kind of like I had to do some videos like when I was in like high school, just like projects and stuff. So I kind of learned it when I was doing that. It's really easy to use though. Like you literally just upload the stuff you want. So like I can just do like a voice recording on my laptop and then upload it. And then I'll just go on like some free stock footage website and then kind of just take stock footage that matches what I'm saying. And then also take, like screenshots that kind of relate to what I'm talking about. Or like an article that kind of illustrates my point, that type of stuff.
Yeah, you can do that kind of stuff in Filmora. I'll check out iMovie too. I just got a better laptop. I have to switch everything over to it.
Yeah, I don't know if iMovie is available on non-MacBooks.
Oh, nah, I don't have a Mac.
Jay, just go buy a $1,200 Mac and then you can use iMovie.
You'd be giving tug jobs on the side of the road for that extra money. I'm already like, I'm not buying anything. Like, I'm test driving a truck tomorrow because like my lease ends in December. Buy about $7,000 worth of truck, and then slowly fix it up. And even that pisses me off. I just need a vehicle.
Yeah, actually, eventually I'll have to buy like a van or an SUV because I'm having kids. So it's like, oh my God, do I really have to buy a freaking car? Like I haven't had a car payment in 3 or 4 years, which is freaking awesome because you can save so much more money when you're not paying for a car payment and insurance. And I just like, oh, now I have to go buy a freaking car. But once I pay that one off, that's it. I'm done.
That's what I'm doing. And because I live in Florida, man, my vehicles will last a lot longer. I'm going to get this truck, and that's going to eventually be my Sunday driver. I'm just going to fix it up over years. I'll probably drop like $5 or $6 at a Civic. My grocery getter.
So, Eric, are you going to buy a Tesla?
I don't know. I'd have to invest in Tesla before I buy it because apparently their market cap goes up several million whenever the time they sell a car, or buy it with Bitcoin.
Right.
But I mean, if I could get to a point where I could I've heard they're great cars, and some of my friends have driven one, and I've been sat in them before. But I mean, me personally, I'm gonna move to Toronto in a few months, which there's subway systems everywhere, and I'm probably gonna live there for this foreseeable future. I really have no need for a car. I mean, it's there's apartments that have grocery stores basically underneath them. Everything's within your bubble.
Yeah, dude, skip the car payment.
Yeah.
Did you see the new? You said that Cybertruck is better. I got to disagree with you. That new electric Hummer, and the first thing I thought is, oh, there's competition for the Cybertruck right there.
But nothing can compete with Tesla. So right now, I just looked. It has a $650 billion market cap. So I'm predicting in the next 5 years, it's going to go up to $3 trillion. And I want to see you try and disprove me. This electric Hummer is ugly.
Does the fact that they're not profitable without selling carbon credits to legacy automakers count into this equation?
It doesn't matter. Look, profits don't matter, Jay. Okay, just buy Tesla.
All right. Well,
no, that's true. That's true. I mean, with some of these companies, as soon as they're profitable, they're no longer a high growth company, right? You don't want to show profit because then people think, oh, they're starting to level off. There's no more growth potential, and then they bail.
Dude, you want to know what the funniest thing about that? There was an episode of Silicon Valley on HBO that talked about that. They're like, yeah, you don't want they were making fun of it. They go, you don't want your company to be profitable. And he goes, and he starts naming off all these companies. They're not profitable, and that's why I own them.
Yeah, no, it's 100% true. There's this one YouTuber I watch who has really, really good content. His name's Jake Tran, business type content. And he did a whole video called the Silicon Valley Ponzi scheme or something like that, or pyramid scheme. And it's basically saying these companies, so you have a tech company, they get a Series A investing round, right? And then they invest all that money into growth, which apparently 40% of the growth is just Facebook ads, Google ads, and buying stuff on Amazon. So a lot of Silicon Valley investor money ends up funneling back to those three companies. And so you invest in this artificial growth, and then you flip the company to another VC firm who then invests more at a higher valuation. And then the VC firm investors are happy because their investment is showing a return. The founder's happy because on paper they're a multi-millionaire. And then, but the company hasn't really grown. It's just artificial growth that's being funneled by this investor money. And what they say is you don't want to be profitable because then that would indicate you're no longer a high growth tech startup, right?
Okay, that makes sense to me.
And I've actually seen a lot of IPOs from what I've heard. I haven't done a lot of research into it, but I've heard the vast majority of IPOs, once they go public, that's when the stock tanks for a while because basically whoever bought at the IPO are the people that finally pay the price or the loss for all that fake growth that the company's experienced. So all these people that are investing in SPACs and IPOs, I think they're getting screwed.
Dude, it's Peter Lynch actually said, you had 9 years before when Walmart went public where you could get in on it and you would have experienced massive growth. So, I mean, you can sit around and see if this is a company that's going to last. I almost bought a bunch of Facebook stock when I knew the IPO, even though I didn't know that much about investing, but I knew after the IPO companies dropped. I almost bought Facebook stock, but I was sitting there and it's still the same reservations I have about this. I was like, you have no moat and you rely on selling your users' information. Eventually people are going to get sick of that. So I didn't buy, but I almost bought it at 19.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. I mean, like if you watch IPOs, you wait till they tank, and if you think it's a long-term company that you want to own, that's the time to buy. Of course, with less than 5% of your portfolio, but
yeah. That's the thing with like a lot of these companies is like if you think they're like a good investment when they IPO, then within 2 years, once they've been on the market for a while and people are used to them, then they should still be a good investment, right? Because I'm just like obviously the holding period should be at least 5 years, like ideally more. Anything less than that, and you're really just speculating.
Yeah, it's Warren Buffett's preferred holding period is forever.
Yeah, which makes sense.
I mean, people think with stocks, like they compare stocks to like baseball cards. Because like, oh, you're just buying a stock to try to sell it later at a higher price. So how is that different? Well, you don't have to ever sell a stock, because if you buy a stock when it initially goes public or soon after, once it grows, you can literally just live off the dividend. So you don't ever really have to sell a stock if it's a good company that pays a decent dividend.
Well, what I would say to somebody, the difference between like a baseball card and I own part of a business that generates profits. That's the difference. The baseball card sits there. It's like, it does not like a nickel appearing on it once a year and just leaving it there so it buys me another card and it just now I get 10 cents a year. That's not how that works.
Yeah, I mean you're investing in like players' careers basically. Like that's like when you're investing in like an active like baseball player, you're hoping that player does well. But if you're investing in kind of like if you were to invest in like Mickey Mantle or something, you're basically just holding that, waiting for more people to want to buy that Mickey Mantle. So more collectors to come in.
Yeah, and really all you're getting out of it is inflation. You're not getting a dividend on top of it. It's really all you're getting.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is so it's stupid. I don't do it. I don't know. My buddy was buying Beanie Babies in the late 90s, and I was like,
oh yeah.
Did he make money though? Didn't Beanie Babies like get super, or was there like a crash? I don't.
It was like the old saying, "How'd you go broke? Slowly at first, then suddenly."
Beanie Babies.
So yeah. he was buying those, and I was like, "This is fucking stupid." And he goes, "No, dude, people are buying these up." I'm like, "They have no actual value, Dave." And he's like,
you know what my plan is? I just go to McDonald's and I get Happy Meals, because I think some of those toys are eventually going to be very, highly sought after. It's happened in the past. So I get a Happy Meal and I just have this huge stack of toys in my closet. And then one day I'm going to sell them all and I'll be able to retire a billionaire.
You'd be surprised how much there's somebody out there that'll pay, that's into that stupid crap, that will eventually pay. Oh, you have a toy from 2021 Happy Meal? That's limited edition.
No, you probably would make some money off it, but it's all a scam at the end of the day. It's all just flipping something that without adding any value. But when people see other people make money, they just can't resist that greed, that urge to try to jump in, and that's what perpetuates bubbles until they burst.
Well, like I said earlier, not to repeat myself, but it's the greater fool theory.
Yeah, but the herd mentality is it's something that like I talked about this in one of my videos. It like evolves. Like the reason humans have a tendency to move towards the herd is because that's how we like survive for thousands of years, right? Like humans have always been better in groups rather than like if you're an outlier before. If you're an outlier, you ended up getting eaten by a bear or something like that.
Yeah, it was basically in our tribal root days, getting kicked out of the tribe was a death sentence.
Yeah. But
Because
it's the opposite with investing.
either other humans would kill you, or more likely the fauna would kill you. So that's why it's also why I'm an crappy open mic stand-up comedian down here in Clearwater, and one of the reasons they think that people have such a phobia of speaking in public is because when back in the day when our ancestors were speaking in public, it was because they were in trouble.
Yeah, that honestly makes sense. Like there are certain things that like we do now that we have like natural fears of that evolved from like the past. Like if you remember when you're a kid, right? You'd be scared of like monsters under your bed type of thing. You wouldn't
Cats.
be scared of like, your house burning down or like waking up and like your dad has like left you or something like that. You were scared of like monsters, and that apparently like I don't know if this is true or not. Like I heard this I was reading about it once, and the reason that happens is because when in like our prehistoric times, like people would get attacked by like animals in their sleep. So that's where this like fear of monsters in your sleep comes from.
Cats. It's hardwired in primates' brains to fear cats because they could come into the trees and get us. One of the main reasons why, there's a couple reasons why dogs became domesticated. One of them was obviously we kept them around because they were early warning systems and they scared off other animals. So like the dog's barking would scare off the leopard coming to eat us. So yeah, like it was, you did something messed up, now justify it in front of, because you don't have that same fear if you're sitting around a campfire with your friends and you have to stand up and say something or you're telling a story. You don't have that same fear. It's that getting up in a bunch of people and saying, say funny things now. That's what I expect.
That's hard, honestly. Like my respect goes out to you for doing that, because I mean if I was to try and do that, I don't know. I mean like just getting up and like, because obviously when people are going to you to like for like a comedy show, right? They're like, all right, like I took time out of my day to come see you, make me laugh, go. Like that seems pretty intimidating to me.
Yeah, well, when it doesn't work, I just look at him and I'm like, you're at an open mic. What did you expect? we're working these jokes out. I was impressed by the way a recent bit went over. It was about me going to Dunkin' Donuts and then giving me a cardboard straw, and I was like, "What is this?" And they're like, "Yeah, well, the problem with plastic straws is they go in the oceans and sea turtles get them in their nose." And I'm like, "Yeah, but the cardboard straw, it gets soggy and I can't enjoy my coffee." And I was like, so now that sea turtles are obviously snorting coke off of strippers' asses, I got to not enjoy my coffee. It went over pretty well for a new bit. And I was like, that was impressed. And I got pulled aside by people from California that moved here. And the woman was like, she's like, I was very impressed with you. Because I also made fun of them at the end of my act. And I go, remember why you left California? And they're like, yeah. I go, don't vote that way down here.
So she was impressed with your comedy, Jay. Did you, make a move on that?
No, I probably will never do that unless a woman is just really like, hey, I want you to come back to my hotel room. I just feel that if I do ever develop fans, it's unfair to the fans and it's creepy. Like that's just it's like the woman would have to be 100% the aggressor in that situation. But she was very attractive, but I mean, to be honest with you, she had a lot of California sensibilities, so I don't know how well we're going to get along. There was a little bit of her getting offended by comedian talk outside, and we're just all like kind of, yeah, comedian talk. You don't come in here and start bringing in woke stuff and trying to control us.
Yeah, well, what's the whole deal with California? Like why is everyone like leaving California?
High taxes, people crapping in the streets, failed policies, name it, unfriendly business environment, a totalitarian cultural, you believe exactly as I believe, or I mean, think about it like this. Okay, you're starting your new job. You buy a house. It's not really an investment, but it is because you're putting money into it. And people are camping in your front lawn doing drugs and crapping on your property, and you will get arrested if you move them off of your property forcefully. Would you stay in a place like that?
Move to Austin, Texas.
I'm actually going to Austin. I'm actually going to Austin in the end of July, probably early August, to try and get on Kill Tony and do a minute.
Yeah, I've heard it's a nice place.
Yeah, dude.
Have you been to Austin, Jay? I mean, I've been there a couple of times. Like, if you want to live there permanently, it is a very liberal place. So if you want to live around a bunch of conservative people, maybe not so much, but it is a nice place to visit. They have a couple streets with tons of bars, so they have a great nightlife. I mean, it's not bad to visit.
Yeah, I'm extremely socially liberal because I have a libertarian bent in myself that I believe in limited government. I don't think the state's role is in regulating marriage or what you put in your body or how you sleep with. So I get along with them on that. It's just when it comes to fiscal conservatism in the Second Amendment, that's where we have a disagreement, because I look at you and I'm like, okay, why should I have to pay for your college? Why should I have to pay for you to get a non-useful skill like gender studies or trans studies or underwater lesbian interpretive dance? Why should I work any amount of my day to pay for that? You are not a productive member of society. You could make the case if it was going to school to be a doctor or an engineer or an accountant, but you can't make the case for a lot of these humanities degrees.
What happened with college tuition in the U.S.? Like, why
the government stepped in and guaranteed everybody that they needed to go to school, instead of saying some of us don't need to go to school, which the smart money that we preach on this channel all the time is, unless you're going for a STEM and I majored in finance, and even I say it now, go to school for accounting. Finance is a degree, accounting is a skill, but you can go to a cheap tech school now, become a plumber, and make $150,000 a year the day you step out of school. But somewhere along the line,
if you're really good, I mean, most plumbers probably don't make that.
but even let's say this. Let's say you're a kid and you're 23 years old and you set foot out of school with no debt and a job that pays you $60,000 a year. You know, but the government got involved. So everybody, regardless, gets a loan and the government subsidizes it. And this is the mess that we're left with. See, socialized school doesn't work. That's why the UK had to go away from it. You can make the case that it works in Germany, but I don't know how their system works exactly.
Well, Germany's a little bit better because they have a trade route. You can study the trades after a certain age, or you can go into like the white collar route. So I would actually prefer that system in the United States, where
it would be better for everybody.
Yeah. So how is it in Canada? Like, was your college free, or did you have to pay for it?
No, well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Like, costs have increased a lot, not necessarily to the extent that you would see in America, but the school I went to is like very reasonable tuition. Like I graduated with no debt, like paid for school, like just through the money I earned from internships. Like, it was easily manageable. And
you can still do that here. Community college, a cheap school, you don't live there. You don't live on campus in the dorms.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, people, like, it's become an advertising ploy where you're saying you need the college experience. Like, you need the rock climbing walls and the dorm parties and the swimming pools and all that type of stuff, because like these are the prime years of your life and this is where you meet people and everything. And apparently that's worth $50,000 a year.
And then spend the rest of your life paying off that debt.
Eric, once you turn 30, you're basically dead. I mean, I'm 31 and my life's just over. You know, I don't have anything to do. I'm boring now. I never have fun. So you might as well just enjoy your college years when you're a young and dumb kid and just get into massive debt for it.
You're an up-and-coming YouTube star, man.
Dude, yeah. I'm about to turn 43 this year, and I am actually dead. Like, It's not like I have a great time going out doing stand-up comedy, you know. It's like, I really wish that I had piled about $150,000 in debt onto myself from the time I was 22.
Oh, wait a minute. We have a comment. Yaya Zhao. Does the U.S. even help students, though?
Oh, this is my girlfriend.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh. I was like, oh, a new person.
Does it help students?
We actually do helps because like we have like the Pell Grant, which I think you get like $5,000 a year towards your college, and then you have like the American Opportunity Tax Credit. You have the Lifetime Learning Tax Credit. So there are some benefits, but those credits aren't going to cover tuition at a very expensive school. So in America, you can go to school, go to a community college, like Jay was saying, and then for your last 2 years, use some of your savings and pay for the last 2 years, and you won't come out with a lot of debt. But what happens is these people go to these very prestigious schools and they pay 30, 40,000 a year and they get a degree that's not very marketable. And then before you know it, they graduate, they're in massive debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they can't get a job. So that's what happens when you see a lot of like people in America, having trouble with, massive debt. It's because they got a degree that doesn't pay and they went to a prestigious school to get it.
Well, how does it work? Like, is it mainly the prestigious schools are not just like Ivy League schools, right? Like, there's other schools kind of like the state schools. Are those like just as bad?
No, way cheaper, man. Dude, so I go to a school. It's called Western Governors University, and it's $4,000 every 6 months. And you can literally finish. And this isn't accredited, like it's a real school. It's accredited. It's a legit degree. You go there and you can finish your degree in 6 months or less, and you pay $4,000. I mean, you don't need to go into debt in America to get a freaking college degree.
And you don't at all. And if you use the SUNY system in New York, like I'll just throw Monroe Community College in Rochester, New York is one of the best community colleges in the country. And you can go there. You'll pay about $3,000 a year to go there. Then you can go to, I'd have to go look in the numbers, but if you don't live in the dorms at like Brockport or a SUNY school, I think you can get through on about $10,000 a year. So worst case scenario, you would come out with about $25,000 in debt. And now if that job you got because of that degree is paying you an extra $10 to $15 to $20,000 per year over the course of your life, it's more than justified. But it's like you said, it got sold as the college experience.
Yeah, and I think they also just got like so administratively bloated where
$50,000 to $60,000 for what school?
So actually, the college I went to for my first degree, I had an ROTC scholarship, but my college back then was probably about $40K a year. So I could see the college now probably charging about $50K, like mostly like private nonprofits or something like that. Would they?
I told you, I don't care. Not about what you're saying. That's a prefix to what I'm saying. I told you about the struggles with my niece going to West Virginia, University of West Virginia.
DePaul. Have you heard of DePaul? I've never heard of that. Have you?
I've heard of it. I'm not familiar with it though. I've heard the name, but she's going to be a nurse and she's going to a $30,000 or $40,000 a year school, and I'm like, you do understand this is more. Yeah. I was like, you do understand you're going to come out and do pretty well as a nurse, but not enough to pay off that debt. Looks like it's going to be Uncle Jason that needs to become a famous comedian and YouTuber that's going to have to pay off her debt. And then
I wouldn't pay it off. Even if I was a millionaire, I'd be like, you know what? I don't care if you're related to me. I worked hard for this money. I'm going to use this to help myself and my family. I'm not paying off your freaking college debt. Sorry.
I wouldn't pay off all of it. I would make her suffer for it, but I would help her. I'm actually already helping her. I send $100 here and there to help her pay tuition.
Send her some stock.
You can gift stock, can't you?
Yeah, I think you can gift it anything you want,
She'd probably be dumb and sell it to go on a vacation.
Yeah, so actually I have a sister and she's kind of like bad with money. And I always told my parents, I was like, oh, I'm just going to give her, how about I give her stock as a gift when she graduates? And they're like, no, you got to give her cash. Come on, Chris. So I was like, whatever. But I thought it'd be a funny joke just to like piss her off. Like, give her some stock she can't sell for a couple of years.
That's funny, dude. That's what I would do. Just so she saw, like, look how much money you have now versus what you had then.
Whatever. I'm done giving gifts. I don't give gifts to people anymore. It's all a scam and a racket.
You should give this as a gift.
Oh, yeah, Eric, have you bought my book?
Wait, you wrote a book?
Yeah,
it's right here.
That's my book.
Oh, wow.
It's called Being a Broke Loser.
So wait, did you go through like the process of like getting it published and everything?
No, nobody would publish my book because it's very harsh on like people that are bad with money. So, I mean, what I did is I went on Amazon. All you have to do is write a manuscript, and you can upload it to Amazon, and they'll start selling your book. Like they'll literally, if somebody buys a hard copy, they'll literally print the book for you, and they'll ship it to whoever buys it. It's pretty cool. So if you ever want to do that, I would check that out.
But how long did it take you to write it though? Like, were you working on this for like a long time?
For actual writing time, like I'm a pretty fast writer, and I knew what I was talking about because I'm pretty experienced in personal finance. So it didn't take me that long when it came to writing time, but there was like a couple months where I got lazy and I stopped. So I would say it probably took me over the course of 5 months, 6 months to get it done, but it wasn't that bad. Maybe a couple weeks for editing.
Yeah.
So if you're focused, you can get it done in like a month or two, edit it, and then get it up there.
How's selling on Amazon though? Is it difficult, or is it kind of just like it's pretty easy once it's up there? Like people naturally just discover it, or do you have to kind of like heavily market it?
Oh, you have to market. Like the only way I've sold any of my books is like people watching my YouTube. So
yeah,
I wouldn't expect, just if you're some random guy that nobody knows, you're not going to get any sales. But, if you have like your YouTube channel and you're like, hey, buy my book, that's kind of how you can market it. Or you can pay for marketing, which I don't really recommend. I don't think the payoff is worth it. So,
or you could just troll Dave Ramsey's fans.
Are you a Dave Ramsey fan, Eric? Have you watched him?
Well, what's your beef with Dave Ramsey? I've seen some of your videos there.
His investing sucks. Like his strategies are horrible. Like, I'm an index investor. I hate active management. I hate high fees. I hate financial advice. I think they're rip-off scum. And he pushes people to do all of that, and people love him because he's good with debt, which is fine. I don't really have a problem with his debt stuff. But when he tells people to, chase performance and buy actively managed funds and go through financial advisors, yeah, that really pisses me off. So that's my big beef with old Dave.
It's like, here's a 10 times better strategy than Dave has. Throw $6,000 into your Roth, and when you can max it, look at whichever index fund is up the least or down the most, put your money in there.
Yeah, well, his videos are pretty kind of just like raw entertainment as well. Like you get like some of the crazy scenarios where someone's like, I have $1 million in student debt, or like I'm 14 and there's some like crazy one where there's this 14-year-old kid who's like, I owe 20 grand to like my brother and my dad or something like that.
I'll be like, is it a legal contract? Okay, well, don't pay him back.
Dude, one of the best ones was some guy going, I'm 67 years old and I have no money saved for retirement. What should I do, Dave? And Dave Ramsey's like, well, you're boned.
No, there's always a chance, Jay, okay? You just need to have 150% savings rate and, get 50% returns, and you can still retire at 65. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. Some of his – I will say this about Dave Ramsey. Some of his entertainment phone calls or like some of the worst of phone calls are extremely entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good entertainer. Like, I like watching his videos, but, it's just the investing stuff he preaches. And then his fans are fanatics. And he always says, like, I've never met a millionaire that hasn't paid off their house early. Well, you're full of crap because
Well, he's about to.
Yeah, I know I'm going to be a millionaire because I have a high savings rate and I'm not paying off my house. So I know you're full of crap, Dave.
You know what we should do we should, when we get to that level, call into Dave Ramsey and say, "Hey, Dave, you've never met a guy who's a millionaire who didn't pay off his house early. I didn't pay off my house early. I got a 2.87% mortgage. And so it made much more sense for me to put my money in low-cost index funds."
You think he would let me on his show if I said that? He would probably.
No, you don't. What are you doing? You do the setup like I did with Jeremy's guy on the phone. You lure them into the trap, and we still have to do the live stream of you talking to one of his. We need to do it with you too. Eric,
Eric, do you know who Jeremy is, right? The financial education guy.
I think I've heard of him. I don't think I.
What we want to do is we want to do a live stream where
I'll be right back.
we'll put the guy on speakerphone, right? And we'll let him do his shtick, and then we'll bust him.
Like, just basically call him out for not having like real.
We'll call him out for saying like this, throwing out just numbers. Like, so, what kind of expected gains can I expect to get with Jeremy in investing? Oh, like 20% returns. Like, oh, that's funny. Do you know how many investors in the past 100 years have done that? 20?
Yeah.
So that's what we want to do, because I did a phone call just to see what they were doing. And this guy, I just pretended to have just enough knowledge to get through, but not really know what I'm doing. And the guy just fed me a bunch of BS, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like, and I said, so how does me paying him $15,000 exactly get me to my retirement goal early? And they were like, well, Jeremy, and his investment guys will investment coaches, they'll help you through. We have guys that work at Tesla and Apple. And I go, okay, but working at Tesla or Apple doesn't mean you're an expert in investing.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So that's what we want to do, is because it'll be funny. Like,
but I'm paranoid. Like, I might get sued because you never know. Like, if I filmed it or I recorded it and then I put it on YouTube, they might have some like legal crap they could use against me. And I mean, I've saved a lot of money and I don't want to freaking lose it because Jeremy sued me and took it all. That would be an epic reversal.
You got to be anonymous then.
Dude, you know what I would do if he sued me? I'd empty my Vanguard account and just spend it on something like, I don't got no money. Oh, but you do. Like, oh, you're gonna go after my income? That's cool. I stopped working.
Yeah, he's gonna take your Hawaiian shirts. He's gonna take your Hawaiian shirts and your hat. You're gonna have like there's gonna be nothing in the background because Jeremy's gonna sue you.
What is he gonna sue you for? This is the question. What legal grounds does he have? You're stealing. If you did that, that would just bring fame to you, and then you could just talk endless amounts of shit about him. But I mean, if you don't want to do it, I don't have.
I mean, I'll look. I'm just paranoid, man. Like the last thing I want to do is this idiot to sue me, and he's got lawyers on retainer. I mean,
but if we're just asking him questions like, okay, but how does this help me get to retirement early? And he says, well, the investing coaches will get you up from a normal on your index fund of 8% to like 15%. And then I say, okay, but the Vanguard Healthcare Fund has returned 15% since 1984. And he's like, so wouldn't I be better putting that $15,000 in that or not? See, we're really just exposing what this guy is saying. So I don't know what legal grounds he would have.
Yeah, if you're just asking like regular, like inquisitive, probing questions, there's nothing wrong with that. It's if you like cross the line where you're just like, saying things that are like completely like baseless and like, calling them names and like just going way overboard with it. But as long as it's like a genuine question, then I mean, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but I personally don't see anything wrong with that.
I tell you what, well, let's have Eric call and then he'll put it on his YouTube channel, and we'll see what happens.
He'll be the canary in the coal mine.
Or just someone we'll just have some anonymous YouTube channel.
Oh, dude, we could have everything blacked out. Like, we don't know who the 3 people are on here that did this phone call. It's definitely not the 3 of us. But check it out.
About it right now.
That's not my voice. That's not my face. What are you talking about?
That's not me. Like, dude, what do you? This is what we do. We just go into court with the Shaggy defense. Wasn't me.
I actually prefer the Chewbacca defense, but
well, we can throw both of them and see which sticks. Dude,
I'll think about it. I'll have to ponder this. Maybe I'll go on like a Reddit, and maybe ask like some lawyers and crap. But I don't know. I'm just paranoid, man. I'm a very paranoid.
No, yeah, I get it, man. I get it. I just don't see what legal grounds you would have to sue, because it's like, what proprietary information am I delivering? Asking you investment questions and then showing that your guy trying to sell me doesn't know what he's talking about. And
I mean, it could be a consent thing. Like maybe both people have to consent to having your conversation recorded or something like that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess, yeah, that would make sense.
So I said, let's have Eric do it, and then whatever.
Well, yeah, he's in Canada. How's he going to sue him up there?
Actually, yeah, this is no, but
look, okay, we're just. I think plotting doesn't.
Plotting is too strong. We're brainstorming here.
Yeah.
And you're forgetting that when I go into the poll, I'm going to say that it wasn't me.
You need to prove that the affirmative action is taken, not just people discussing the possibility of it.
Exactly. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
Department of Homeland Security breaks down all of our doors. Like, are you this guy, Jeremy's a national treasure. We're not going to allow you to destroy his reputation.
You see like a red dot on my head?
Yeah.
Sit down.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I guess I just don't see what legal grounds there could be. I might ask a lawyer.
Yeah, you might have to pay him if you really want an in-depth answer.
But I got disposable.
No one.
But I have disposable income because I've refrained from allowing any of the women that I've come inside of to actually know my real name or where my address is or even my real phone number.
Well, once you become YouTube famous, that might change. Might have a couple kids.
Especially when we get to Phoenix, where I spent 5 years. That was my pure degenerate phase, is going out and just getting hammered every night after going to work and just, hey, what's going on?
You probably have like 20 incurable diseases.
No, it's like that. It's like Mr. Burns. Like, there's so many diseases that are working in tandem, so that like it's like a war. Neither one can get an advantage. That's why I didn't catch COVID.
Yeah, I thought I might have had it. Did you get it, Eric? Were you infected?
No, I mean, like where I live has been like horrible. Like everything's shut down here, and it's been shut down for like a long time. Like I can't even get a haircut. I can't go to the gym. Like all this stuff is like, I know like
you still can't go to the gym?
I still can't go to the gym. Like it's been like right now is the worst point it's ever been throughout the whole COVID time frame.
I mean, because like here in America, like I just started going back to the gym like about 2-3 weeks ago, but the gym has been open for 6-7 months. Like
the government imposed restrictions and said gyms can't be open.
Holy crap.
Yeah, Florida closed down for like 2 weeks, and then they were like, eh.
Yeah, I mean, like it's I don't know. I mean, like obviously being in Canada, like you guys in the US are getting. Have you guys gotten your vaccines yet?
I got the vaccine.
Yeah, that's because you're old.
I'm in the risk group.
Yeah, like in Canada, you can't. In my area specifically, you can't get a vaccine like unless you're like, I think it's like 60 plus or maybe it's 50 now. So,
but
like,
I mean,
not going to be open for a while.
Politics aside, COVID poses virtually no threat to you. You're at your age, at 23, you are more likely to die of the flu. So it makes no sense to lock guys your age down at all. If you want to make a case, this is just my view of it. You assume the risk level that you want to assume when you go out in public. If you're in a high-risk group, be extremely careful and don't go into public much. But a guy who's 23 years old and looks to be in shape, what? I mean, you would probably get COVID and be over it in 3 days.
Yeah, and that's kind of like I think the argument a lot of people like in my age cohort are making. But I mean, the reality of the situation is the government just locks everything down and says things can't be open, and that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, so like, are restaurants open? Are bars open? Like, nothing.
Like, you can get takeout, but the only thing you can do is like basically go and get groceries.
That's because like I've been going to bars for the last 9 months. I went to the beach. You know, I've ate in restaurants like a lot. Like, that's I can't believe it's still that locked down up in Canada. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, it's not every area. It's like where I am is like, I don't know if it's the worst spot, but like Toronto was really bad, and then like Greater Toronto area, like my area specifically wasn't as bad as some other areas kind of around Toronto. But I mean, like basically it was like a while ago, so like they did open gyms for like about 2 weeks, about a month and a half ago, and it was like super like locked down. Like, you have to clean everything, you have to wear a mask the whole time, only 10 people are allowed, you can only stay for an hour, so like a ton of restrictions. It was open for 2 weeks, and then cases basically just jumped from like a few thousand per day to like over 3,000 per day. And they said, and they're running out of like ICUs basically. So they basically said, okay, that's it. Everything's shut down for a month.
Wow.
Yeah, but this is the thing that I tell people, and they don't want to listen. Like, you as the people have the power. Like, do you know when the Soviet Union collapsed, what happened, how it collapsed? People just stopped taking the rules seriously. People stopped taking the Soviet Union. In Russia, they stopped taking it seriously. And when you were just like, what? Okay, whatever. You know, it's at a certain point, like, if the population just says, yeah, we're not doing it, we'll find another way. We'll fine you. Okay, we'll pack the courts.
Yeah,
we'll literally grind it to a halt.
Yeah, me specifically, I'm super like apolitical. Like, I don't really read about that stuff. So like, and you know, obviously, like, I would prefer it if like things were open and that like I could go to the gym and everything. But I mean, I'm not gonna try and like, you know, go out and like make a political statement of not wearing a mask and all that stuff. Like, it's just.
I agree with you on that. What I'm talking about is the people basically saying, look, we're willing to take precautions. Yeah. We're not doing this heavy-handed lockdown anymore. Find another way. Like, this is a lot of these politicians are in America and in the U.S. and Canada. I shouldn't say America because it's all America, but the U.S. and Canada. A lot of these people are lifelong bureaucrats that have never actually had to work and have zero understanding of economics, to where it's like, you have to produce something. People have to work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't like. I mean, like, because if you take, you know, like just some, you know, small store that like sells men's shoes, for example, that only allows 2 people in at a time and everyone has to wear masks, like, those people aren't spreading COVID. So why can't they be open? But I think part of it is they don't want to kind of like figure out who they need to make exceptions for, because then the whole process takes longer. They just want to be like, all right, everything's shut down.
Yeah, and also think about this. I don't know how it was in your high school, but think about the people that wanted to be class president and stuff like that. Those are the same people that went into government and are now in government.
Eric would be the class president.
Huh?
I was asking him if he was the class president. That would have been pretty funny.
I was busy with sports in high school, man. I was one of those guys.
Yeah, and see what I mean? Like, I have a friend. I have friends of all. As long as you're not just going to be a dick, I'm going to hear you out. And it's like, you're going to have to just understand, like, The only hill I'm dying on is fiscal conservatism in the Second Amendment. You're not going to budge me or get me off of it. But I have a buddy who's a politician, and it's the same thing with him. He's just trying to schmooze me, and I'm just looking at him. I'm like, you do realize that the average person can see you're being fake right now. And these are the people that become politicians. Justin Trudeau, sure, he's superficially charming, but I bet you that dude is not the life of the party when you're getting hammered. I bet you he's not the guy.
I think he's very attractive.
Huh?
I think he's very attractive, personally.
Oh, he's a handsome dude. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't think that the politicians are just they're politicians do a take on human beings. They don't really know what a human being is. That's just their impression of a human being.
Yeah, I mean, people want like people who are genuine, right? Like when I voted in the last like federal election, so there's like this whole scandal thing in Canada where this company called, I forget what their name was, but there's some big engineering company, and there was some like corruption scandal that they had, and then they're supposed to get like, you know, prosecuted and all that, and then Trudeau basically like kind of just let them walk, and everyone was really mad about that. And so the person who in my era, like the person you vote for is called MP, which is like member of parliament. So we have like the Conservative Party, Liberal Party, NDP, which is New Democratic Party. So she was in the Liberal Party. And then she like left and ran as an independent because of that whole thing. So that's who like I ended up voting for, because I'm like, you know, you're showing some actual like moral standards.
You know, I didn't agree with a lot of what Tulsi Gabbard said, but I respected it because she's an actual real human being. You know, she served 2 tours in the Middle East, and like you could tell everything that she was saying was genuine. And if it's genuine, and you know, I have to respect it, but it's like these are the people making decisions for us. These people,
But Jay, if genuine people, you know, if people like genuine people, how is Jeremy so popular on YouTube?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't think that type of stuff is going to last.
I don't think it is either. I think, but the unfortunate thing is that guy will be very wealthy off giving people bad advice, and people have lost money. Like, it's as simple as Planet 13. This is what I think is going to happen to Planet 13. I think its stock's going to go up to about $18 to $20 with the hype. And then when they realize that you can't corner the weed market like they think they're going to, I think that stock's going to tank.
Because they're a high-end weed stock, aren't they? You were talking about.
They're high-end. And so what it tells me is he goes and visits the business. Of course, the CEO is going to sit down with this guy and talk to him, because he's going to look at the numbers. Because the company's still small. He's a big enough YouTuber to push it. So as we get more and more states legalizing, and it'll eventually put pressure on the government to federally legalize, and that'll happen this decade. I don't know when, but that stock will shoot up on that hype. And then when people realize that when you go into Planet 13, all you're paying for is super expensive high-end weed, the average weed person's going to be like, yeah, I'm good on that, dude. I'll stick with this Walmart weed.
What? I can't wait till Walmart starts serving weed. That's going to be an epic day.
Dude, it's going to be great. Like, just coming into Walmart to get my Walmart weed.
Great value weed, like the Walmart brand.
Great value weed. And it'll probably be made in China. There'll be Uyghur slaves making a musical about growing Walmart weed. Did you see that?
No.
Dude, they made a musical with the Uyghur people in China that's based on La La Land and The Sound of Music, about how great it is to be a Uyghur living in that Providence. And I'm like, oh my God, this has become parody now.
Maybe it was a parody. But all right, guys, I'm getting freaking tired. I think I'm
all right, brother.
But hey,
I'll call it too.
Yeah. So Eric, thanks for coming on. We're gonna promote your channel here for our 4 watchers that we have right now.
Yeah, dude, let us know whenever you want to come on, man. We do this like pretty much every Saturday. So if you're just bored one day and home, just hit us up on here. And then we usually max at 4 people, but on some of these, we've had a lot of people that are just coming in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I've been observing like people coming in and out. But yeah, so if anybody's watching, subscribe to his channel. He's got really good videos, and he kind of thinks like us, so that's why I recommend him.
And subscribe to Jay Nagy.
Oh, and Jay Nagy too. All right, guys. Thanks
Cool.
for coming.
All right.
See you later.
All right, fellas.
I'll talk to you, Chris. All right. See you, Eric. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, you too.